Hello, welcome to another video from avforums.tv. I'm Simon Crust.
And I'm Chris McEneany. Hello folks.
And we are interviewing, and very lucky and fortunate to be interviewing Mike Bassett, the director of the new film Solomon Kane. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you very much.
We're fortunate enough to have just seen the film.
We've been privileged to see a copy of the movie already, and it's exciting, gung-ho, brooding, intense stuff. It's a film that you wrote as well.
Yeah.
It's based on Robert E. Howard character.
Yeah.
More famous for the Conan stories, obviously, but it's someone that's quite close to your heart. It was someone you wanted to get off the ground.
Well, I was a fantasy fan as a kid anyway, so being given the opportunity to make a fantasy movie is something I really wanted to do. I'd done two previous films, Death Watch and Wilderness, which are horror movies, you know, and it's very easy to get stuck in that kind of one type of movie ghetto. You're a horror filmmaker, or you're a romance filmmaker, or you're a comedy director, you know. And when the English producers came to me and said, "We have this character, we bought the rights to this character, would you be interested in doing it?" I was, absolutely. Now, the fact that I knew Solomon Kane from reading fantasy stories when I was a teenager was just a huge advantage, because I could say, I know the character, I think I can do something with it. And what they didn't want the stories directly translated to the screen this time. They want to do 3 movies. They want to do a trilogy. So this first movie is supposed to be the origins of the character of Solomon Kane, which Robert Howard never wrote about.
So he leapt straight into the action.
He leapt straight into the action, yeah. He went straight into it. The first story is Kane, kicking ass, and he's already this kind of badass Puritan swordsman. But what they wanted, and what I thought was a good idea, was to find out how he becomes this character. So I reread the stories, and I hadn't read them all. I'd read some, I didn't never imagine I was going to be a film director and then make the movie. So I went back, reread them, read the poems and all the other stuff that I could, and then began to sort of pick my way through just the character to see, maybe this is an idea of how he became who he is. Now, that took a huge amount of liberty with Robert Howard's writings, but I think we've got a movie which feels like a Robert Howard character in a Robert Howard world, and because he is so well known for Conan, there are a lot of fans out there who've been sort of looking forward to seeing Kane get to the screen as well. So, we're just about to unleash it on the world. We've been to a few countries already with it. In the UK,
Spain, haven't you?
Spain, we really went to Spain. France, okay. Russia, good stuff in Russia. UK and some of the rest of Europe is at the beginning of the year.
The Russians must have liked the weather you use in this movie.
It just feels like
we must mention, folks, there's a lot of rain in this movie. You seem to like rain a lot.
I like what rain does to visually. I like the kind of it's unfocused energy, so that it brings. There's always something happening on the screen. Even if you shoot a static shot and you're raining, there's an energy on the screen. Really Scott used to use smoke all the time, which I like, but smoke can get a bit repetitive. I think rain does something to actors as well.
Because they must actually genuinely react to something, mustn't
they?
Yeah,
you can't not act, right? And also we shot in the Czech Republic over a winter, and it was really, really cold. So we had these rain towers pouring like 60,000 litres of cold water onto the cast.
And you were very popular, weren't you?
Well, you know what? I think it was interesting. I did Death Watch in the Czech Republic as well, and I reigned in that movie. So I came back with this movie, it's a bigger picture, and some of the same crew were on, and they went, "Oh my God, it's the rain guy. Yeah. He's come back again."
You drastically changed their water table, didn't you?
For dredging the rivers. On Death Watch, we ended up dredging a river to cover the trenches in the right colour of mud as well. So
the authentic colour of mud.
Well,
attention to detail, folks.
It felt more like a kind of a desert bunker, so we got a lot of that kind of grey, slimy river mud. And by the end of that shoot, the whole place was smelling like a fishmonger's. It was horrendous, but there we go.
But back to Kane, nowadays we kind of need an origin story. It's the vogue, isn't it? Every superhero now, even though everyone is well read with the comics, you've still got to give that guy, when he gets his big screen adaptation, his backstory, how he got those powers.
Yeah.
So with Solomon Kane, again, it's not such a familiar sort of character. Yeah. And you have a fairly snappy sort of prologue to it, and there's a fairly it's an intense character which you bring into the screen here.
Yeah.
And James Purefoy.
Yeah.
Tell us
well, I mean, first of all, to address the idea of the origin story. Firstly, they're the most interesting, because what you're trying to do with a character, with a movie character, is to say, character starts as one thing, and through the arc of the story ends up as another thing, and that's the kind of character arc that you're trying to achieve narratively. Which is why movies differ from television. Television characters can't change because they need to come back week after week after week. Right, with a movie character, it has to start one place. In the case of Solomon Kane, badass buccaneer, pirate, murderer, bad guy who ends up very amoral, who ends up understanding, one, he's still a killer, but he's a killer for a different purpose and understands his place in the world. So it becomes a classic, story of redemption. Yeah. And that's a very mythic way of telling a story. And I think that belongs in the fantasy genre very, very strongly, and I like that. So that's what I want to do with Kane. And when you look, what to me is more interesting about Batman, for instance, is how he becomes Batman. In the subsequent movies, the villains become the interesting ones because your hero is just kind of cycling through what he does. This is why Spider-Man 2 is so interesting, because they do manage to find a new angle, a new arc for the character. Yeah. So that's the danger with, and if I do make another Solomon Kane movie, in however many years' time, that's going to be an issue because he's sort of gone through the main journey. What would be his other internal conflicts? Because that's what you're looking for an internal conflict for a character.
Surely you could then start drawing on the original writer.
Oh, that's absolutely what we'll do next. I mean, the plan is to go to the original Howard stories next. But what's interesting about the Kane stories is that he's not conflicted at all. He knows he's doing the right thing. You don't believe in God, you're an evil creature, you're a bad man, I'm going to kill you and deliver you to judgment of the Lord.
He's very black and white. I like the way as well, there's no early on epiphany that he has. Basically, he's been a badass, he's enjoyed killing quite a lot, brags about it, loves it, and then when faced with the fact that because of such a bad lifestyle he's led, he's going to be dragged off to hell and tortured forevermore. But I don't want that. No, I'm not going to suddenly redeem myself by looking after people. I'm just going to save my own bacon. So then that's
absolutely
what leads him to tattoo his body like Max Kane.
He's an amoral character, and even within the body of the story itself, the journey he goes on to rescue the girl, and again it follows really classic lines of bad guy wants to be good. One of the ways he redeems himself is to go rescue an innocent, a pure character, the girl. So that's classic mythical fantasy, legendary story ideas. But initially, he is kind of doing it to save himself. And it's only towards the end where he realises that a personal sacrifice is the only possible way forwards. Yeah. And those are the choices he makes at the very, very end of the movie. And ultimately, he is saved from the big monster by making those decisions rather than just having to fight it. So that's something you try and do, which also then feeds into the next thing you're asking me about why James Purefoy. Now, for me, Kane is a very masculine, very strong character. And I needed an actor who can deliver that. And there's not many in the world who can do that. Some big superstar guys. But in terms of English actors, we're a little bit fey and a little bit theatrical. And I wanted a guy who was genuinely tough.
Not muscle-bound. Not
muscle-bound. No. Though he's ripped and he's well built, and that's absolutely fine.
And intense.
Absolutely. You're looking for an internal focus and an internal strength. And I'd known James a little bit prior to making Kane, and we talked about making another movie together, and I remembered that he was really somebody who had a bit of strength about him. Wasn't sure, and the same way that nobody was sure about me being the director. I talked to James, but he came in and he really loved the script. And I showed him the storyboards that I'd made, and he liked that, and he liked the visual sense. And I told him, this is going to be the toughest shoot you ever do. I'm really going to put you through it. First of all, you've got to get in good condition. He said, I'm in good condition. I did Rome. I played Mark Antony. I said, no.
Condition.
Yeah, exactly. I want you to see you ripped, but not big muscles, just strength. And I want to see you fully committed, inside your mind. And he absolutely gave it his all. And I think it's the best performance he's ever done. I really do. And I think it's something which increases his stature as a leading man because he can carry a movie. He went to the point of he shaved his entire head so that the wig would sit really properly on there, because it was that level of commitment where he'd go and do these things where a lot of actors just wouldn't do it. And in terms of brutalising him physically as well.
Well, he wanted to give his all to this part, didn't he?
I think so. That's what I would expect from an actor.
No. Einer. Vujador. Rofatal.